What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back for a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last time we were on, we had Shion go to the Himizawa school in which she kind of broke after Satoshi, in her mind, ignored her, and she snapped at she's pretty much snapped at Sadako and pretty much beat her up. And then Satoshi obviously got in the way of her. But even after that, she still kept on blaming Sadako. And today is going to be the day of the Wanagagashi. So, I've been doing a little bit of theorizing since last episode. Because someone in my comments told me to go back to chapter 3 and go to the phone conversation between Kechi and Mion. Because last episode we had a very similar conversation between Satoshi and Shion. And what I noticed in that chapter 3 phone call was how emotional Mion was, quote unquote, which has led me to believe that Mion that Kechi talked to was actually Shion, who was somehow at the Sonozaki house at the time because of many things, such as her very extreme emotional reaction to it. Now, you could make the argument that, it is still Mion and Shion probably told Mion about the Satoshi phone call, but with how extreme of an emotional reaction it is, I feel like it was definitely Shion who was taking that call, who disguised herself as Mion. And plus, she also says, you're going to push her onto me again, referring to Sadako. And how she says, how she broke her promise before of not watching over her. Now, after this, I decided to go back to watching a couple of Chapter 2 videos. Now, you guys remember the crackpot theory I came up with was that Shion was actually Mion in Chapter 2. Well, after going back and reviewing the evidence, I am so firmly believing in this theory. I have two big pieces of evidence for that. One, the water scene in Chapter 2, and two, the victims of Mion, quote unquote Mion, which was Oryu, Rika, and Sadako. I'm not including Kimiroshi because Kimiroshi's body was never found in the Sonozaki tunnels. Well, at least not at the time, but I feel like Kimiroshi was killed off by the third faction in Himizawa. So here's my theory. In Chapter 2, in the first half of Chapter 2, we talk to the real Mion. We actually interact with the actual Mion. The point at which it turns into Shion is the day the mayor goes missing, alright? The reason why Mion is so violent in the second half of Chapter 2, and she refers to herself as demon in the second half, while in the first half, there is no mention of this demon at all, except in the second half. The reason why I believe it's Shion instead of Mion is that we've seen in last episode how Shion is able to be controlled by her very violent emotions. She completely snapped at Sadako for really a tiny thing of Satoshi just kind of being lethargic, just kind of snapping at her because, well, he was tired at the time. And, well, that led to that whole pretty much beating up of Sadako, which, leads me to believe that Shion has extreme emotions and that she has very violent tendencies. And so in Chapter 2, when she becomes Mion in the second half, she refers to these violent tendencies, these extreme emotions, as the demon, right? This all spiraled off because of the fact that Kechi did not give the doll to Mion, and somehow that started a chain of events that turned Shion to make Shion disguise herself as Mion in order to enact her revenge against the people she hates, which most importantly would be Oryu and Sadako. Why she would do this because of the doll thing, I have no idea on that part. But I am very, very firmly believe in that because, for example, in the ladder scene, she says how poor Satoshi was always tired and that he was rewarded with disappearing because of Sadako. I feel like the actual Mion would never say that because we've seen Mion in chapter 3. Now you might be saying like, oh, maybe that could be like Shion dressed up as, Mion again. But since, that phone call in chapter 3, but I believe the actual Mion cares for Sadako and that Shion absolutely hates Sadako. So yeah, that's my theory, which in chapter 2 is that the second half, the Mion we see, or, just refer to her as Demon Mion, the Demon Mion we see is actually Shion, who is letting her emotions control her. So yeah, that's my little theory. It is absolutely so interesting, because this is the first game I've Let's Played where if I go back to watch previous videos, I can come up with new ideas, new theories, which absolutely credits the writing of this game of like being able to see certain dialogue scenes in a whole new light because of scenes such as last episode, which is, I think, is amazing and just in terms of writing feats. Like, Ryu Kyushi 07, well done. Absolutely well done, man. Because I feel like this is like, isn't this like his like first like professionally made writing project? I haven't heard of like if he worked on anything else, because if I remember correctly, he worked as a public servant for like 20 years, and he used those experiences to put into this game, and well, he made Yume Meko, and he's working on Silent Hill F as well, so it's absolutely tremendous that this is technically his like first official work, which is just amazing. All right, how about we actually get into the game? A Torn Diary. Sorry for that long intro. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year, so I'm going to disappear soon. There'll be nobody left to take care of Sadako. Oh shit, okay. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I don't have much time, that I won't stay as myself for much longer, so I had to make the best of the days I had left. What could I leave for Sadako? She wanted that huge teddy bear. She wanted a peaceful life in which nobody would bully her. I whispered to the person at my back, bestow your violent nature and formidable strength upon me. I want your peaceful mind, filled with hatred. Satoshi is going down the rabbit hole, man. Oh my god. Alright, let's continue on. Uh-oh. The day of the Wanakagashi Festival. June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. What was I doing today? Nothing particular. Nothing at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate some food for lunch while watching boring TV programs. I had a white headache, so I lay down on the sofa. I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. Whatever. Decided to sleep. I'd already told Sis that Satoshi-kun had asked me to look after Sadako. I didn't have to do anything myself. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a bit. That would be all I have to deal with. June 20th, 1982, 5:02 p.m. The aunt believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because her brother-in-law and his wife were pro-dam activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute. But people had stopped looking coldly upon her, even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her. And so she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers, and the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. What came first, their poor relationships with the neighbors, or her husband's affair? She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. She in turn claimed that their relationships with the neighbors went sour because her husband had damaged their reputation. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened at almost the same time. Their quarrels had become a daily routine now. When the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why they didn't get a divorce, their marriage being as one as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that too. It was the fortune his parents had left. His aunt had hidden their bank book and stamp and never allowed her husband access to them. So her husband would search the house for them. She'd find out he stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had that much money when they were alive. After their death, however, one of his relatives told him. He was informed that his parents had left a large sum of money in some bank account. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money, because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. It was because of the dam project. His parents probably got the money in return for their cooperation with the government. They had strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. After someone from some financial institution revealed its existence, they appeared to adopt Sadako and Satoshi. Wow, they didn't even give a shit about them, they just wanted the money. Makes sense though. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress's home. He realized that he had no reason to return to his own home. Because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. No. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings very well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustration upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship, so if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Satoshi had thought that at first. But even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. Another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must have been talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing. Since she lost an opponent to fight, Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred towards the siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He learned when she would get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her by turning a keen eye to her behavior and avoiding conflicts. But Sadako couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and didn't even try to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in their aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. Satoshi strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend the relationship. It was a heavy burden for him, though, because he was still just a boy. He bore so much. He covered for his little sister by lying and maneuvering. He tried to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Sadako and her aunt had already spiraled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. It probably wasn't a legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanctioned workers would come and pick it up. He passed by this street all the time, so he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He found a plain-looking desk, the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt liked to bring usable trash home. She had Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. If he told her about the desk, she'd want it. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in the drawers, so she always opened them to check before carrying the thing home. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There he weighed something he'd been carrying all the time, until today. It'd be very hard to find unless you specifically knew it was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. Was it his metal bat? I bet it was his metal fucking bat. June 20th, 1982, 5:51 p.m.
へい親父、今年も来たね。また根こそぎかっさらってくから覚悟しときなよ。
いやSonozakiのお嬢ちゃんは今年も元気がいいな。あ、そっちの子は新顔かい？
この子はね、竜宮レナ。こう見えてても結構やるよ。
そんなことないよ。よろしくお願いしますね。
おう、こっちこそよろしくな。今年もいろいろ景品を持ってきたんだぜ。もちろん真剣勝負だ。根こそぎ持ってけるもんなら持ってけってんだ。
レナは可愛いものには目がないのですよ。
ああ、あのぬいぐるみとそっちのぬいぐるみはレナの好みだね。
かわいいね。お持ち帰り。
ダメだよ、まだ準備中だよ。おい
レナ、ダメ。まだ準備中だってさ。ちゃんと回転したら根こそぎさらってやりな。
もうダメだよ。レナのものなんだよ。お持ち帰り。
When I lost her marbles with her stuffed animal, everybody laughed. Everybody except Sadako. She was standing by herself, some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull.
なんなんですの、リカ。
Rika walked up to Sadako, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up.
今日は何も考えなくていいのですよ。いっぱい楽しく過ごしましょうなのです。
Sadako looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home wouldn't change.
さとこ、意地悪なおばさんは今日はお祭りには来ませんですよ。そんなことは分かってますわ。ならいっぱい笑っていっぱい楽しくなるのですよ。
Maybe, God, now that we know from Chapter 4 that Rika knows her own death, or possibility of death, it kind of makes sense why she drew so close to Sadako as a person. First of all, because she's in a shitty situation, and two, she wants for Sadako to live a happy life. Maybe also because the fact that Rika knew her parents were going to die, and the fact that her aunt was going to die as well. And she also knows in the end she will die as well, but she at least wants Sadako to have fun in these little moments, these moments of bliss, of ignorance, of something. And it makes their relationship so much... like at first, when we start chapter 1, it's like, oh, it's a two, cute anime girls, have, be friends together. Isn't that so cute? But now by chapter 5, it's like, oh shit, it makes so much more, it adds so much more context to their relationship, which is so goddamn, like, fascinating, so good.
みぱーみぱー。あいにくですけど、そういう気分になれませんの。 申し訳ございませんけど、放っておいてくださいませ。どうして聡子は笑いませんですか？
Sadako sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look, as though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt. No matter how fun the festival was, when she went home, her aunt would be there. The aunt would find something wrong with Sadako, get mad, and shout at her so loudly that the neighbors would hear. How can she have fun, even just for today, while knowing all of that? Sadako didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika.
では聡子の辛いのが今日でおしまいになるなら、聡子は笑ってくれますですか？
Sadako gasped. She thought that Rika might do something to help. But soon after, she realized that Rika was just trying to comfort her. Could her suffering end today because of Rika? How? Sadako knew that there was really nothing Rika could do. So, after just one moment of freedom, Sadako fell into depression again.
リカ、くだらない気休めは聞きたくないですわ。聡子、
Rika's voice was clearer than Sadako had ever heard before.
もう決まっていることなの。
Oh, shit. Damn. June 20th, 1982, 8:11 p.m. Also, this is a very unique perspective. We're not from a point of view character. We're really at more of like a police report type of, more like a narration, really. Satoshi snuck out the window after supper. He heard the distant ruckus of the festival. The festival would end at 9 p.m. After the Higurashi ceremony, there was going to be a raffle drawing. So, there were two types of people in Imizawa. The people who would go home for dinner, the ones who would stay until the raffle was over. Either relaxing at home or still at the festival. There were only those two patterns. On top of that, there weren't many neighbors in the vicinity of Satoshi's house. As a result, he found nobody in the streets. On that night, the small village seemed especially desolate. Satoshi knew it was going to be like this, but he would keep worrying until he saw it for himself. He was barefooted, but started running without hesitation. He felt as though he became a wild animal running on his bare feet. He got the impression that he could run faster than usual. Not only his running ability, his vision, his hearing, and his sense of smell. All his senses were keener, including his sixth sense. He could almost sense the presence of people in the distance, if only when crouching like an animal. It felt strange, as though he had stepped into another world. These goddamn callbacks to Chapter 3. He'd been feeling tense and anxious until today, battling with his own fear. But now he felt as though he had metamorphosed into a different person. June 20th, 1982, 8:37 p.m.
それではお楽しみ抽選会の説明をこれより始めますので、どうぞ皆さん、櫓の周りにお集まりくださいな。
The festival had reached its climax. The raffle was going to start. Both the women who were dancing and those who were waiting for the raffle gathered around the altar. This was the first time they'd held a raffle. The planning committee decided to hold one from this year onward to attract more people to the festival. At first, the prizes were things the committee members had donated, but Oryu, not appreciating how pathetic they looked, had thrown them away. Oryu took the initiative and bought a brand new TV, a washing machine, a cooling fan, and other such things for the raffle. Shit. Damn. Money, huh? The committee wanted to keep it small initially, but it turned out big thanks to her. Oryu was upset because the committee members weren't enthusiastic enough, in her opinion. Some of the members thought it would be very difficult to prepare prizes of equal value the following year, so this might be the very first and last raffle.
お嬢さんのおかげで本当なすんばらしい商品になったね。だいぶかかったんじゃないの？運営費で立て替えするよ。
すったらんな程度で立て替えなんてアホらしい。銭金の問題じゃないんね。たく。
まあまあそう言わないで。お嬢さんのおかげでできた抽選会なんだから。
Can you at least put on like a smiling face, for God's sake, or you?
こんな私一人でどうにかすりゃええんちゅうわけとちゃいなや。パホクサ。
The mayor, Kimiwoshi, was having a tough time pacifying Oryu. Yeah. All of a sudden, one of the committee members burst into the tent in a rush. He looked upset, so Kimiwoshi assumed that somebody probably got hurt in an accident.
どうしたの、牧野さん。そんなに息を弾ませたら心臓が破りっちゃうよ。
Kimiwoshi made a joke to calm him down. Makino, however, still looked tense. He whispered something to Kimiwoshi. Even without hearing the exchange between Makino and Kimiwoshi, it was plain as day there was bad news.
お嬢さん、悪い話なんだけどいいかい？
Kimiwoshi, accompanied by Makino, moved to Oryu's side and spoke in a very serious tone. Kimiwoshi whispered to her the exact same words Makino told him.
いやいや、参ったよな。
参るも参らんもなんね。3度あっちゃんは4度あるっちゅうこっちゃな。
Oh.
お嬢さん、そりゃ笑えないや。
面白い話でもなんでもなぎゃ。面倒が増えただけっちゃね。
警察が今身元を調べてるらしい。どうも相当顔面をやられてるらしくて、身元の特定が難しそうなんだと。
Okay.
顔がわからんでもおおよその想像はつくっちゃな。
え？心当たりがあるのかい？
Oryu glared at Kimiwoshi and started chuckling.
バカが。綿流しの祭りにも顔を見せん。不信心者に決まっとろうがね。ちゃんとお社様を敬って祭りに来ちょるんは。そんな目には合わなんとよ。
Oryu kept laughing. Kimiwoshi and Makino didn't know how to react to that. June 20th, 1982, 9:04 p.m.
しかし、こりゃ無残なもんっすね。
クマちゃん、死に方っていうのは本人が望んだものでない限り、どんなでも無残なもんです。お悔やみ申し上げちゃいますよ。そっちどう？ポッケの中身とか個人が特定できそうなものは？
The forensic investigators shook their heads.
サンダル履きで服装もラフ。
Sandals and casual clothes.
近くにお住まいの方でしょうね。服装の特徴から周辺に聞き込みをすればすぐに割れそうっすね。
それしかないな。課長からこの山一区捜査してかかりそうだからって脅されてます。その辺注意してくださいよ。
了解っす。
It can't be. It can't. No, it can't. Well. Great, another 50-50. You know, the obvious answer is it's the aunt, but clearly they're in the middle of the woods. So that makes things much more interesting. Kumiga gathered some officers and gave them directions.
入江先生が到着しました。先生、あそこです。
The young doctor got out of his car and headed in the victim's direction.
どうも。遅れて申し訳ありません。
Today on my casual clothing as well.
抽選会の手伝いの最中だったもので。
先生、今日の祭りでだいぶ飲んでたでしょう。アルコール本当に抜けてます？後で風船でも膨らましてもらっちゃおうかな。
ご安心を。運転はスタッフに代わってもらってますので。
そりゃ卒がない。おい、先生通してあげて。
There was an area cordoned off with blue plastic sheets. An officer rolled up the sheet and let Oishi and a Ire pass. The forensic people were taking photos from many different angles. The blood splatters and the bloody sandals were left untouched, marked with chalk and indicated with small alphabetized plates.
こういうものは見慣れませんね。
Ire took out a handkerchief and covered his nose.
匂いがダメな時は口呼吸にするんですよ。まあ、こういう匂いは目でも嗅げちゃうかな。ね。
The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged woman. It was soaked in blood. It looked like a middle-aged woman because of the hair and what she was wearing. The reason why no one could be certain if it was a middle-aged woman was because its face was completely pulverized.
ひどい。
十中八九怨恨の線でしょうな。
Well, it's not in the home, but it does match up quite well with, the events of Chapter 3 with, Kechi murdering the uncle. So, would kind of make sense that Satoshi would murder his aunt in the same way.
結婚とサンダル裏から見て、ここで殺したのは間違いないでしょう。でも見ての通り、ここは人通りが少ないと言ったって、往来のど真ん中です。ここで頭部がひしゃげるまで殴り続けたってのはちょいとまともな話じゃないですからね。でね、ほら、腕とか見てみてください。
Oishi put on latex gloves and lifted the corpse's arm.
腕は綺麗なもんでしょ
う。それはつまり腕で防いだとか抵抗したとかそういう痕跡がないという意味ですね。
さすが高学歴。仏さんはおそらく最初の一撃で脳震盪かなんかで気絶したんじゃないかと思うんです。で、推しは確実に殺した手応えを得るためにさらに打撃を加えた。さらに言えば仏さんはその時うつ伏せに倒れたように思うんですよね。ねえ、服の汚れ具合からの勘ですが。
遺体は仰向けですね。
星は後頭部を散々潰して明らかに頭蓋骨が砕けてる手応えを得ているにもかかわらずわざわざ顔面を潰してるんじゃないかと思うんですよ。
Ire looked like he was going to throw up, because of the putrid smell and Oshi's reasoning.
遺体の顔面を殴るってのは私の経験じゃかなり怨恨の線が強いです。それもだいぶ濃厚な濃密なね。 ってことはつまり、星は仏のかなり近辺にいるのは間違いないかと。
私を呼んだのが救命活動ではないということはよくわかりました。
先生、この人が誰かわかりますかね。わかれば聞き込みの手間がだいぶ省けるんですがね。
Irei looked at the body once again. He looked away quickly and thought. Then, after a while, Irei left the investigation area without saying anything.
すみません。私にはわかりかねます。
本当に？
Oishi smirked and looked into Irei's eyes, as though Irei was hiding something.
別に隠してなんかいません。
先生もアルコールがまだ抜けきってないだけですよ。頭が冴えたら思い出すかもしれません。思い出したら教えてくださいね。
Oishi tapped Irei on the back. The doctor, saying he wanted some fresh air, left the scene. Kumigai returned. Now this is a very interesting thing. One, it very much could be Sadako's aunt. And Irei would definitely have motivation to not say it was the aunt, since he was pretty close to the Hoijos, and well, he probably wouldn't say anything if, like, the aunt was, dead. But, on the other hand, it could very much be it's a woman Irei hasn't seen before. Very interesting. Kumigai returned.
おいさん、課
Kumigai.
長から無線です。
It's probably Kumigai, yeah.
1号車の無線っす。
入江の先生、ごまかしたな。
Uh-huh.
いえ、こっちの話。仏の聞き込み急いでください。ほぼ間違いなくこの近くにお住まいです。
June 20th, 1982, 9:39 p.m.
おいさん、連れてきました。
どうも。
It truly is amazing how, like, this chapter, this particular chapter, can jump around to different places, at different times with many different characters. And yet, because of the 4 previous chapters of setting up, we know who these characters are. We know where they should be. It's all perfectly set up in order to not make the viewer confused. Which is great to pull off.
申し訳ありませんね。明日も学校なのに本当に申し訳ないです。
Oh.
お父さんはどちらへ？
うちの寄付はあまり帰ってきませんので。
おお。いつ頃から？最後に帰ってきたのはいつ？
さあ、義母と喧嘩しているのを聞く限りは、沖の最後に会ったのはあまり覚えてないんですけど、先々週ぐらいだったかもしれません。
お父さんの連絡先はわかります？
いえ。
キャバレーの人と同居してるって言いましたよね。なんてお店かわかります？
いえ。沖宮のどこかにあるとしか知りません。
お父さんの名前は？
北条哲平です。
Oishi signaled Kumigai with his chin, who nodded while taking notes.
お父さんとお母さんはあまり仲良くなかったですか？
程度の度合いは分かりませんが、よくはなかったと思います。
率直に聞いて申し訳ないですけど、お母さんに恨みを持っていた人間とか知っていたら教えてほしいんですがね。
よくわからないです。
そうですか。じゃあもしも思い出したらでいいので、その時は教えてくださいね。これ私の名刺です。ここに電話番号ありますので。
はい。
じゃあ後日またいろいろとお話を伺うこともあるかもしれません。もしもお父さんと連絡がつきましたら、沖宮警察署の大石まで至急ご連絡をとお伝えください。くまちゃん、北条さんを自宅まで送ってあげてください。
あ、いえ、一人で帰れますから。
いえいえ、そんなこと言わずにぜひ送らせてくださいな。お母さんを襲った犯人がまだ近くにいる可能性があるんですよ。あなたもまた狙われない保証なんてないんですからね。
お気遣いありがとうございます。でも本当に結構ですね。
Satoshi tried to reject the offer, but Oishi and Kumigai insisted. In the end, Satoshi was forced to accept. He turned around to leave, when Oishi spoke to him as if he remembered something he'd forgotten to say.
北条さん。
はい。
大丈夫ですよ。心配しないでください。犯人はすぐに捕まりますよ。
手がかりとかあるんですか？
ありますよ。
どんなですか？
捜査上の秘密ですよ。ね。
Ordinary people might think that Oishi was trying to cheer the poor kid up with a joke.
いえね。人を殺すってのはかなり感情の高ぶるもんなんですよ。そりゃ冷静に殺してみせるロボットみたいなのも稀にいますがね。
This is truly a scene of like, does he know? Or is he just fucking with Satoshi to like get something out of him? Oshi's just that good of a, a detective, of a police officer, of making you think of, does he know or is he just fucking with you, Very much reminds me of Willem Dafoe's character in American Psycho, in which in that movie you don't know if he knows that Patrick Bateman is the murderer, which is, very interesting to compare the two.
感情が高ぶると何かわかるんですか？
人は極限まで感情が高ぶるといろいろ体に反応が出ます。発汗とか脱毛とかね。殺人現場に犯人の毛髪が落ちているってことは割とあることなんですよ。まあここは屋外ですからね。現場が絨毯の上ってのとは だいぶ勝手が違いますが。
犯人の毛髪は拾えたんですか？
さあね。鑑識の連中が大列組んでさっきから行ったり来たりしていろいろ探してます。まだ結果待ちでね。何が出るやら今から楽しみですよ。
明日があるので今夜はもう帰ります。
そうなさってください。クマちゃん、送ってあげてください。
了解っす。
では北条さん、また近いうちに進展があったらお知らせしますよ。北条さんも何か思い出したりしたらぜひ教えてくださいね。憎き母の仇の逮捕に協力してまいりましょう。
That damn left too. Oh, she's a perfect example of how to write a like good ass detective character. Sis called the morning after the Higurashi festival to tell me that the curse had struck again for the 4th time. The victim was the evil aunt who was harassing Satoshi-kun and Sadako. Satoshi-kun's suffering should be over now, since the problem was with Sadako and the aunt's relationship to begin with. Maybe I should have celebrated, but I wasn't in the mood for some reason.
犯人ってもう警察は目星をつけてるのかな。
Sis went quiet when I asked that.
さあね。大石の野郎がしつこく聞き込みをして回ってるみたい。犯人は近しい人間に違いないと思ってるようだね。
Being identical twins, Sis and I think very much alike. If I suspected Satoshi-kun of being the murderer, so would she. Because of this, I didn't have to mention the obvious.
サトシ君って祭りの日にアリバイあります？どうだろう。はあ。
I heaved a huge sigh.
バカですね。サトシ君は祭りに来ていた。そういうことでいいじゃないですか。そうだよね。気が利かなくてごめん。
I heaved another sigh. Sis was stupid enough to forget to make an alibi for him, even though the murder of his aunt alone would raise enough suspicion.
じゃあ、やっぱりサトシが？サトシ君が殺したかどうかが問題じゃないでしょ。サトシ君が犯行の時間帯にアリバイがあったかが重要なんです。ったく。後で警察がうちに来るみたいだから、来たらサトシは祭りで一緒だったって言うよ。お姉、取ってつけた嘘なんか何の役にも立たないです。何も手を打たなかったなら今さら小細工しても無駄ってことです。せいぜい正直に喋ってください。お姉は芝居が下手なんだから変に意識するとかえって勘ぐられますからね。ごめん。
She sounded depressed. I was the one who should have been depressed. Mion usually handles things well, but she's not too good with emergencies. I was left worried for the future of the Sonozaki family. Mion must have been embarrassed. She soon changed the subject.
シオン、最近はあまりバイトに行けてなかったでしょ。
So, what does that imply for Chapter 3, Maybe in Chapter 3, during that time around, Shion told Mion of the same phone call she had with Kechi, and, well, I guess during that time, they made a bunch of evidence to insist that Kechi was at the festival during Chapter 3. Still doesn't explain with the whole, body going missing. Yeah. Still doesn't explain with the whole body going missing.
ご検察痛み入ります。おかげさまで。あ、うん。ごめん。今日は私、夜まで姿を隠してるから、バイトに出られるんじゃない？
Sis has been appearing in public places during festival preparations and whatnot. As a result, I hadn't been able to pretend to be her. I hadn't been able to work. As someone who had to support myself, it was a bit of a pain. To be honest, I didn't feel like working. But I couldn't afford to be sitting around either. When I locked my apartment door before leaving, the door of the next apartment over opened and Kasai appeared.
シオンさん、お出かけですか？
そんなとこです。お姉が姿を隠してくれるそうなんで、久々にバイトに出ます。葛西、暇だったらおじさんの店まで車を出してもらってもいい？
シオンさん、しばらくはバイトを控えられた方がよろしくはないですか？事件のせいで警察は園崎家界隈を監視しているようですし、あまり姿を表に出さない方がいいのではないかと思います。
お気遣いは嬉しいけど、バイトしないと食費もないわけですし。
Kasai might suggest he donate money to my cause. However, I had sworn to myself when I started living here that I wouldn't depend on Kasai. Well, I don't obey anyone else's rules, I stick to my own. Kasai could tell that I was adamant in my decision. So, after repeating himself a couple of times as a formal procedure, he decided to give me a ride after all. Every time we went to my uncle's store by car, we stopped at this traffic light. I knew it was going to happen again, but it still irritated me. Pedestrians passed by in front of the car. I was startled to see that one of them looked like Satoshi-kun. It was him. Though I'd spoken with him on the phone just a couple of days before, it had been a while since I saw him last.
葛西、悪いけどおじさんに、やっぱ今日のバイトは行けなくなったって伝えてくれる？私、ここで降ります。
え？シオンさん。
Kasai looked taken aback, but I got out of the car regardless. The light turned green. The car behind him honked while Kasai was shouting at me, so he had to start moving. Satoshi-kun was on his bike, but he was going really slowly. I caught up with him in a flash and tapped him on the back.
ハロロー。沖宮で会うなんて奇遇ですね、サトシ君。
If I talked to him with a smile, he might smile back. So I smiled as brightly as I could.
Mion.
He looked tired as always. As I could tell, he was trying to smile back. My worries suddenly disappeared. I was certain I looked happy. I was aware of that myself, so it must have been obvious to Satoshi-kun.
何があったか知らないけど、ミオンが楽しそうだね。
ええ、楽しいですよ。サトシ君の機嫌が良さそうなので、私も釣られて機嫌が良くなっただけです。
When I teased him, he looked a bit embarrassed. It was like we were back in the good old days. Felt even happier than before.
サトシ君こそ、何かあったんですか？何か機嫌が良くなるようないいことがありましたか？
I'm just realizing this. But I feel like one of the major themes of just this entire game is trying to get back to the good old days. Quote unquote good old days, you know. We all desire to go back to simpler times, be it childhood, be it before an event that we all see as when times change into the worst. Times where we were ignorant, blissful. Each character has at least shown a sign of trying to return to the good old days. First example would be Kechi, which is quite obvious through first chapter and third chapter. He always wanted to go back to the first half of that chapter, to go back to the good old days and why they were suddenly stopped. It be it Rika, who wants to go to the good old days, while at the same time want those days to kind of change. Be it with Shion, who wants to go to the bright days with Satoshi and have head pats and all of that and just have fun with him. Each character, or even with Sadako, wants to go to the good old days of being with her brother. Even though she was still being abused, she still viewed those days as happy because she was with her brother. It's such a... The reason why it's such a great theme is that whoever you are, you can connect to that. We've all gone through happy days. We all look back on the past with fondness, be it an old movie we look back on, be it a certain period of time where we look back on with fondness as the good old days and wish we could return to those days. I certainly have looked back on certain periods of my life with certain fondness, even though there were problems in it. There were problems in, some of my good old days, yet I still view them as good old days, which is so interesting to think about. We look back on these good old days, even though we knew there were problems with those days. There isn't a period in time where everything was perfect. I mean, we're all human. It's just human history, but we still look back on those particular days as good. Such a human thing to look back on good old days.
いいことなんかないよ。おばさんが亡くなって警察とかご近所とかいろいろ大変だよ。
I might have asked something dumb. He seemed to be okay with it, though. He frowned a bit at first, but Satoshi-kun continued smiling gently. He looked worn out, but satisfied, like he had accomplished something great. That was the mood I sensed from him. So, I was convinced. The one who killed that wicked aunt who tormented Sadako was him. I had absolutely no proof, but I knew it intuitionally. So I omitted all those questions. I knew Satoshi-kun's motive for killing his aunt and how badly he was driven into a corner. I knew the environment and the situation he was in. And I knew Satoshi-kun's feelings. I knew all that. So I omitted all those questions. I wanted to celebrate his release from that curse, so I smiled like nothing was different as I asked.
サトシ君はどこかへお出かけですか？あ、バイトかな？
正解。その前に寄り道なんだけどね。
寄り道？
毎日ちゃんとショーケースにあるのを確認しないとなんだか不安で。
That conversation reminded me. The reason he started his part-time job was to buy Sadako a huge teddy bear. It was being sold at the toy store just down the street. I recalled that the teddy bear was very expensive. Sadako's birthday was right after the festival. I wasn't sure what day, though. Wait, didn't he say he quit his job? Maybe he was going to greet his ex-core workers and clean out his locker or something. Either way, he'd be completely free very soon. Maybe he hadn't been paid yet. That's why he wanted to check if they still had the teddy bear. Maybe he was only getting paid on Sadako's birthday. When we got near the toy store, he rushed to the display window. He looked relieved that it hadn't been sold yet.
よかったよかった。大丈夫。ちゃんとあるよ。
買えるだけのお金は稼げてるわけですよね。
Quick save. Just in case of nothing. There we go.
なら予約とかしちゃえばいいのに。
He probably hadn't thought of that. He really did need someone to look after him. I looked into the display window over his shoulder. The teddy bear wasn't that cute, in my opinion. It looked huge and cramped in the middle of the store's short case. Really, it looked more like a display model than an item for sale.
値札がついてないけど、これ本当に売り物なんですか？これ一体いくらするんです？
売り物なのは確認したから間違いないよ。
値段は？予算は大丈夫？
大丈夫だよ。ちゃんと確認してあるよ。
Satoshi-kun thought I was teasing him again. He pouted and looked a little sulky.
予算が大丈夫なら問題ないじゃないですか。なら予約しちゃいましょう。その方がサトシ君も心の荷が下りていいでしょうしね。
We entered the store and looked for a quirk.
誰もいないのかな。
そりゃ好都合です。サトシ君、お給料日を待たずにぬいぐるみが手に入るかもですね。
ダメだよミオン。泥棒はいけないよ。
冗談ですって。軽く受け流してほしかったんだけどな。ひょっとして私が盗っ人の真似を平気でできる女だと思ってます？
あ、ごめん。
Satoshi-kun smiled apologetically. I puffed on my cheeks to tease him. It had really been a while since the last time we did this. And between those times, many undesirable things happened that I wanted to forget. But now I felt as though all those things simply vanished into the air around us. I found an old person napping in the back. He must be the quirk, I thought. He looked to be fast asleep.
すみません。お店の方ですよね。
Turns out he was dead. I poked his shoulder, but he didn't look like he was going to wake up. When I did that, a middle-aged woman wearing an apron came in.
おじいちゃん、店番頼んだのにすっかり眠りしちゃって。お客さん来てるってのにもうごめんなさいね。うちのおじいちゃんももうすっかりボケちゃって。
The middle-aged woman shook the old man awake and told him to go back to the living room. She went to the cash register after that.
お恥ずかしいところ見せちゃってごめんなさいね。何かお買い上げ？
あ、買うんじゃなくて予約なんですけど、いいですか？あのショーケースの中の一番大きいぬいぐるみなんですけど。
あれ？いいの？値札見た？かなり高いけど、お小遣い大丈夫なの？
あ、はい。ギリギリ足りるはずです。
もうすぐバイトのお給料が入るそうなので、それまで予約したいんですけど。
The woman looked a bit hesitant at first, but she eventually wrote down Satoshi-kun's name and accepted the reservation. Satoshi-kun received a slip of paper.
ね。これでもう誰かに先に買われちゃう心配はもう必要ありません。
うん。お給料がもらえるのはもうすぐなんだけどね。これで安心できる。
He would have kept coming to check every day if he hadn't done this now. He would have spent his time needlessly worrying. Satoshi-kun looked very relieved indeed.
これならもっと早くに予約をしていればよかったな。
普通の人は欲しいと思ったら即予約します。そういう思考に至らないサトシ君はちょいと希少です。
It's so very fun to tease him. Those painful days seemed unbelievable now. Satoshi-kun looked like he'd forgotten everything that happened up until yesterday.
でもありがとう。
Satoshi-kun held out his hand to touch my head. Was he going to stroke it? I felt my face wasn't needing it already. Even before he touched my head, I felt tingly, remembering the last time. I didn't care about the murder or whatever else happened. As long as Satoshi-kun had his freedom, everything would be alright. I'd be content as long as we could live happily from today onwards. But Satoshi-kun's hand never reached my head. I slowly opened my eyes, only to realize that the situation had drastically changed. What? There were 4 men in suits blocking our way. What? Excuse me? It looked as though they'd been waiting for us to exit the toy store.
Domo domo.
Ah, shit. The oldest of the 4 men stepped forward while smirking. I had never met this man, but it looked like he knew both Mion and Satoshi-kun. He was probably a cop. I went to search for information in my head. Found some right away.
Konnichiwa. Hojo-san, Sonozaki-san. いい雰囲気だったところを邪魔しちゃって実に申し訳ないです。
This must be Corrado Oishi, the cop who's investigating the series of mysterious deaths. He thinks that the Sonozaki family is behind all of the cases. In other words, he's an enemy of the Sonozaki family. He has deep connections with other investigation divisions in the police force. He likes to nose around the businesses in this area. He annoys the Sonozaki family enough as it is by interfering with its Yakuza business, let alone his suspicions on the series of mysterious deaths. Naturally, as the family successor, he's not a welcoming figure to me on Sonozaki. I tried to imagine how Sis would react.
ありゃ、大石さんですか。お仕事ご苦労様です。大の大人が4人も揃っておもちゃ屋さんに何かご用で？まさかお人形さん買いに来たってわけでもあるまいに。
I know what they want, and it's not a toy. It's probably not me either. They want Satoshi-kun. I took a look at Satoshi-kun. He seemed a bit uncomfortable. The other 3 cops loosely surrounded us to prevent our escape.
Hojo-san. 実はですね、ちょいと伺いたいお話がありまして。
何それ？任意同行ってやつ？サトシ君、こんなのに付き合う必要ないよ。行こう。
I pushed on his shoulder, but he just stood there, looking pale and bewildered. Bewildered? No, he actually looked resigned. Then I recalled Sis's mistake. It's obvious that he killed his aunt from the circumstances. You don't even have to look at the crime scene. How could Mion have failed to create an alibi? That stupid Mion must have spoken to the police without making anything up at all. She must have told him that she knew where Satoshi-kun was. If she hadn't done anything, the villagers wouldn't work to help her. It was just a matter of time until the police uncovered Satoshi-kun's complete lack of an alibi. The police were just trying to corner him and lead him to confess. I looked at Satoshi-kun's face once again. He looked like a dead man. He probably didn't know he could refuse to be interrogated. If he was taken to the station grilled by Oishi, he'd confess in a minute. Somebody had to protect him. Nobody had ever been there for him. I had to step up now. But how? Would it be possible to alter what Mion had already told him, saying it was a mistake? That wasn't going to work. If I had more time, I'd come up with an excellent idea. But I didn't have that much time at all. To pressure him, the cops were drawing nearer. Satoshi-kun must have felt intimidated. He might end up turning himself in due to the pressure while I'm stuck trying to come up with something. I have to do something now. I have to say something. Otherwise Satoshi-kun might give in. I have to save him. She drew nearer. Satoshi-kun fell back.
大して時間は取らせませんから。そんな怖がらないでください。
It won't take much time. He just said it. He just said it. We won't let him out if he caught him now. Satoshi-kun, don't give in. If you give in now, everything you've been working for will be ruined. Satoshi-kun looked like she was at his breaking point. Oishi was clearly aware of it. Oishi smirked and held out his arm to grab Satoshi-kun's shoulder. I felt electrified when I saw that. That hand should be allowed to touch Satoshi-kun. The moment Oishi touched his shoulder, he'd give in. He'd go to the police station and confess everything.
サトシ君にアリバイがあるか知りたいわけですよね。
Oishi turned his face toward me, his hand left hanging in the air. I wasn't very prepared for this. I just had to stop Oishi no matter what. I only needed to gain some time. It didn't really matter what I said.
そうですよ。北条聡さんのアリバイが知りたいんです。私たちの捜査がまずいからなのかな。犯行の時間帯にどうしても北条さんのアリバイが見つけられないんですよ。仕方ないから恥を忍んでご本人に直接そのあたりをお伺いしようかと思いましてね。
そんなの本人に聞く必要ないです。私がアリバイ証明しますから。
ありゃ、そりゃ本当。なら助かるな。あの晩園崎さんが神社にいてお祭りの最後まで過ごしていたことはすでにあなたからも聞いているし、その他大勢の方からも証言を得ています。そのあなたがそこで北条さんとも一緒だったと言ってくれるなら一番楽なんですがね。でもあんた、以前そのあたりをお聞きしたとき、北条さんのことは一言も言ってませんよね。実はいましてって今頃おっしゃるおつもりで？祭り会場の誰一人北条さんを見ていないのに、あなただけは見ていたとそうおっしゃるおつもりで？
そうです。私と一緒にいました。それで十分です。
あなたが仲良しのお友達と終始一緒にいたのは分かっているし、私も会場で実際にお見かけしています。それでも一緒にいたとおっしゃるわけで？そいつはちょっと苦しくない？ん？
Oishi approached me with a creepy smile. Was he teasing me because my excuse sounded funny? I didn't think so. He was frustrated due to being interrupted while he was about to catch a big fish.
祭り会場でずっと一緒に遊んでたのに、すっかり忘れてて今頃になって思い出したと、そうおっしゃるおつもり？園崎美音さん。
I did get a little scared, but I couldn't stop myself. I could see Satoshi-kun if I revealed my real identity. I was aware of the risk. Grandma would certainly capture me if I revealed it. I didn't think of the consequences after that.
っていうか、私ミオンじゃないですし。
Oh shit. Same CG, huh? But oh damn, okay.
だからもともと綿流しになんか言ってません。
あ？
サトシ君とは綿流しの晩は沖宮のファミレスでずっとおしゃべりしてました。エンジェルモートって店ですので、どうぞ店長にも確認を取ってください。
Oishi was still smirking, but he apparently felt confused.
あんた何を言ってるの？あんたミオンじゃないなら誰なわけ？
園崎、シオンです。ミオンの双子の妹です。
Shit.
初めてお会いしますね。こんにちは。
Oishi looked perplexed, like he didn't believe what I said. He frowned.
園崎美音さんに双子の妹がいたなんて初めて知りましたよ。あんた大人をからかってんの？
からかってなんかないですよ。 どうぞ戸籍でも何でも調べてみてください。それともお姉を呼んで2人で並んでみせれば信じます？
All the cops looked bewildered by now.
園崎シオンさん。
はい、シオンですが何か？
あんたにもちょっと来てもらってもいいですかね。あんたが園崎シオンさんで北条さんと一緒におられたって言うんなら、あんたにも話を聞かせてもらいたいもんです。
ええ、望むところです。お手柔らかによろしくお願いいたします。
The cops gathered at their car and started discussing something. Looked like they never expected this to happen. How to be able to fake Satoshi-kun's alibi for at least a little while. It shouldn't be too difficult to talk to Sis about this and forge up an alibi together.
サトシ君、何を聞かれてもエンジェルモードで私とおしゃべりをして過ごしていたと言い張ってください。私が何とかしますから。何を聞かれてもよく覚えていないとか、サトシ君なら下手なことは言わず黙り込んだ方が無難かもです。
Satoshi-kun wore a startled expression. Though I was telling him something important, he apparently decided not to listen.
サトシ君、聞いてます？ここでしっかりしないと刑事たちの思うツボです。
He must have been feeling deceived. No wonder. I just confessed that I wasn't Mion, but her twin sister. It really had been deceiving him.
怒ってます？
なんで？
騙してて。
Satoshi-kun started laughing. Didn't know why he laughed, because he wasn't the type of person who would laugh in order to hide something.
たまに教室のミオンと話が食い合わないことがあったから違和感は感じてたんだ。やっとわかったよ。
怒らないでくれるんですか？騙してたこと。
Satoshi-kun looked puzzled. It was like he didn't know whether he should be upset about it or not. Maybe he was only pretending to be that way.
はじめまして。じゃないんだよね。
はい、そうなります。
そっか。シオンってどう書くの？
詩を読むの詩に音でシオンです。
Poetry and sound.
シオン。いい名前だね。
じゃあお二人さん、すみませんが署までご同行願いますかね。粉末でよければコーヒーか紅茶かくらいは選べますよ。
Oshi's inside of Oshi's head right now. God damn it! Why the fuck the twin sister? Why the fuck did I never think of twin sister? God fucking damn it! Been investigating these assholes for like 10 years and never fucking goddamn sister. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay, Shion showed her true identity. You know what? Let's view this new tip. Page 29. Either Satoshi-kun was smart or very lucky. Or maybe it wasn't him. Police found nothing at the crime scene to indicate his involvement in the murder. Yet Satoshi-kun was still the prime suspect. Concerning his home environment, he had a strong enough motive. He had no alibi. The police had everything other than physical evidence. It was unsurprising that Oishi took a chance. He probably didn't expect me to step in, but what I did was too little to avert his suspicion of Satoshi-kun. Oishi believed that Satoshi-kun did it. He was waiting for Satoshi-kun to fall apart and confess. That's what both Oishi and I were thinking. But that hypothesis was destroyed later on. I'll not talk about it now, but Oshi's theory will be disproven, and the police will be thrown into shock. Question comes to mind. That is, who saved Satoshi-kun? I can only think of the possibility that the Sonozaki family invented the culprit. The fucking drug teenager! That's right! There was that fucking drugged up teenager. You know what? Let's continue. Screw it. Let's go. Let's continue. Turn this into 2 hours. Like it all usually does. But goddamn, this game is so good. Fuck it. Might as well have 2 hours. The cops are smart enough to separate us during questioning. Oishi didn't come to talk to me. His aim was Satoshi-kun and nobody else. I got a young cop who just talked about ordinary things. He must have been trying to ease me into the interrogation. When I realized that, the clumsy way he spoke began to frustrate me. Is Satoshi-kun alright? I didn't think Oishi really brought my testimony. He must have been trying to get Satoshi-kun to confess in spite of that. All I could do was pray that he'd keep quiet. The phone on the desk rang, and the cop picked it up.
はい、熊谷です。はい？ああ、そうですか。わかりました。すぐに。
He hung up and told me somebody had come to retrieve me. Looked like Satoshi-kun had to stay. Were they going to continue the interrogation just because he had nobody to pick him up? Although maybe I should have been worrying more about myself. That hag has probably heard about me by now since I revealed my real identity to the police. Couldn't hide any longer. I was going to receive some sort of punishment. I had no idea what she ended up doing to me. The degree of punishment for a traitor is always severe in the world of the Sonozakis. The punishment must be carried out. If it's to protect the family's reputation, it's carried out no matter what. Maybe I should kiss my pinky finger while I still can. I asked the young cop just in case.
ねえねえ、アメリカなんかでよく死刑囚が死刑廃止の州で捕まると引き渡さないでくれるっていう話あるじゃないですか。
ん？
Maybe it was too difficult for him. He just looked puzzled. A glossy black car was waiting for me in front of the police station. A few men from my dad's office bowed to me.
シオンさん、ご無沙汰しております。
葛西は？
Kasai had been helping me ever since my escape from the school. They wouldn't allow him to walk free.
お姉はどうしてるの？何か言ってる？
私たちはシオンさんを本家へお連れしろとしか言われていませんので。
No boy.
詳しくは本家でお尋ねになってください。
After saying that, he escorted me into the car. The man sat on either side of me. Obviously, they didn't want me to escape. Thinking of Satoshi-kun, I looked back at the police station. Hold on tight, Satoshi-kun. I'll grin and bear it too. The car started off lawfully. It was never a good occasion when I went to this house, except when Mion and I were really small, oblivious of what the Sonozaki name meant for us. I've been here only when I had to attend to boring family councils. The car parked behind the house. Traders aren't allowed in through the main gate. I got out of the car. Looked like Sis would be the only person to receive me. I almost spoke to her casually, but her cold gaze froze me before I could.
お久しぶりですね、シオン。新年以外に会えるとは思いませんでした。
It gave me the chills to hear her greet me in that cold manner.
ミオン姉様こそご機嫌麗しゅうございます。新年以外にお顔が見れて3問くらいの得を感じます。
I responded, trying to sound likewise.
当主は大変ご立腹ですよ。どう釈明されるか見ものです。私がするような釈明なんて別にないですし。
I had no excuse. I escaped from the school solely because I couldn't stand it there. That was all.
シオン、来なさい。皆待っています。
Mion escorted me, the others followed. We went to the garden, not into the house. As we passed through the huge yard into the woods, I realized where she was taking me. When we were little, we were never told to go near these woods. I had a vague idea of what was in the back of them. I heard there was a hidden entrance to the underground torture room where they used to punish the enemies of the family. The more hideous rumors I heard about the family, the more credible those rumors seemed. Well, I wasn't completely certain about any of that. I never expected to see the torture room for myself. It came to a concave clearing in the middle of the woods. I saw a metal door at the bottom of it. The door reminded me of a bomb shelter.
これが噂の地下実験室ってやつですね。
Oh boy. I was surprised to hear my own voice. My voice was trembling. It made me realize that I was more scared than I thought. Nobody answered my question. The very air felt tense. According to the family rules, one of the twins must be eliminated. Was I finally going to be eliminated? I realized I'd been underestimating my punishment. I hadn't been aware of the real terror until now. I just thought I was. Beyond the steel door, the air had an intimidating smell. This really was happening to me. I shouldn't allow myself to give in to fear. I felt like saying something rude, but my lips were dry. My fingers were fidgeting. I was escorted through the narrow hallway and down a few sets of stairs. There I saw another huge steel door. So this was the place. It was spacious and, the hell? Utterly odd-looking room. The room had two sections that looked completely different. One side looked like a lounge. I saw several high-ranking members of the family council sitting on cushions there looking expressionless. The other half was tilted, as if in a huge public bath. That was already puzzling enough. And there were those things. To be honest, they had captured my attention from the moment I arrived. What the hell? I noticed them even before I saw the lounge and tiled space. I just didn't want to accept that they existed. I couldn't stand straight. I almost dropped to my knees, but I couldn't. Two young men had been holding me by the arm since I got here. There were oddly shaped things hanging from the wall. I was just refusing to recognize what they were. I knew exactly what they were called. I see. I understood that those eerily shaped objects were torture devices from hell. Oh, shit.
どの面下げて戻ってきた思うとっとと
The hag sitting at the front of the lounge intimidated me in a horrid voice. She kept cursing me for a while, but she was so incensed that I could barely tell what she was saying. I knew what she was trying to say, though. The hag was willing to forgive my escape from the school, but once I revealed my identity to the police, she had to step in. Since I had disobeyed the family rule, she, as the leader, was forced to punish me. Moreover, there was one thing that bothered her more than anything else. The fact that I covered for Satoshi-kun. The Hojo family had been seen as traitors to the village ever since the dam conflict. Satoshi-kun is still considered one of them. She couldn't accept that I was connected to him. To me, this was a bit unexpected. I escaped from the school the hag had put me in. All the while, I believed that was what she was upset about. But in fact, she said that she was the most uncomfortable with my connection with Satoshi-kun. I couldn't believe this. Of Of course, I knew that Satoshi-kun's family was persecuted for their betrayal, but I didn't think that Satoshi-kun was also burdened with that responsibility.
そんなのサトシ君関係ないじゃないですか。サトシ君の親はわかるとしても、サトシ君個人には何の責任もな。
Oh shit!
話よ。
The hag interrupted me with a shout which made me cower in fear. She continued slandering the Hoijos and said that Satoshi-kun was a cursed child. I started feeling pissed off. What did he do to deserve this? What was he being blamed for? It was too late when I realized I'd said that out loud. The hag looked furious. I'd obviously upset her, and decided to impede myself to make it very clear how I felt.
ばあさん、あんた何言ってんの？
Oh, shit.
黙って聞いてれば言いたい放題。
なんばねすったら口の利き。
やかましい！しまいまで聞きなよ、バカ野郎！
I shouted loudly to silence the hag.
だいたいあんたはサトシ君の何を知ってるの？サトシ君のことをよく知りもしないくせに、まるで彼を害虫みたいに言い捨てて。サトシ君がどんなにいい人か私はよく知っている。彼が北条だからいけないの？バッカみたい。時代錯誤も甚だしい。園崎の私が北条のサトシ君と一緒にいたのがそんなにも不愉快なの？くったらないくったらない、バッカみたい。こんな安っぽい色味釣りを自分で体験できるなんて思わなかったな。
My voice became hoarse from shouting. My face was messy with tears, and so I didn't feel like putting a stop to my emotional explosion. I was all too aware that I was doing this just to overwhelm my fear. The hag was glaring at me while breathing heavily. I glared back at her as fiercely as I could. Eventually, I realized that her sticking point was my relationship with Satoshi-kun. She wasn't only upset that I had a mere connection with him.
そっか。ミオンがそういう告げ口をしたわけか。
It was as though Mion was wearing a mask. She didn't budge under my penetrating glare. That was what the hag was really unhappy about. The fact that I was in love with Satoshi-kun.
確かに私、自分が園崎家だとか、サトシ君が北条家だとか、そんなの全然興味ないし、園崎家のメンツがとか、世間体がどうとか、全然関心ありません。認めますよ、認めます。私は北条サトシ君が好きです。
Man, this family's fucked up.
彼のことが大好きです。
You know, after everything we've gone through, Sonozaki's kind of fucked up family, you know?
それっていけないこと？人が人を好きになるのに何か理由が必要？
I could see the relatives shaking their heads in turmoil. Among them, I saw my mom. She must have been trying to protect me. But even she wouldn't look at me. Instead, she looked silently at the floor.
後ろのあんたたちも聞こえてるでしょ？私おかしいこと言ってる？あんたたちだってサトシ君をよく知れば、彼がどんなに素敵な男の子で私が好きになるのがおかしくないことがすぐにわかる。なのになんで相手の人格も知ろうとしないで一方的に。
Mion held out a hand to silence me. Then she slowly walked in my direction.
もう結構です、シオン。あなたの言い分と覚悟はよくわかりました。
Mion put her head close to mine and whispered.
シオンの覚悟はよくわかったよ。でもここまで言い切っちゃったら誰にももうかばえない。シオンがけじめをつけてみせるしかない。けじめ？なんで私がなんでそんなバカな。シオン。
Mion's face turned cold again and she calmly told me.
あなたの言う個人の理屈は多分正しい。でもね、あなたも理解していると思うけど、ここはひなみ沢で、私たちは園崎家なの。御三家の末席で、今や事実上のひなみ沢の筆頭家。そしてあなたは仮にも園崎家次期当主である園崎美音の双子の妹。それが
I interrupted her.
あんたとはこっちに帰ってからどうもそのあたりの話が食い合わないですね。大人の事情みたいなことばっか。ひなみ沢、園崎家だから何？私はそんなの全然興味ない。聞きなさい。
Mion interrupted me, just like I did her.
シオンは今日まで沖宮で生活するにあたってどれだけの人の世話になってる？
Damn, chill shot through my spine.
葛西さん、奥の牢屋にいる。なんで葛西が？
I knew why, of course. The moment I got caught, those who helped me were destined to meet the same fate. We were all subject to the punishment of betrayal. Maybe my punishment would be wider than what they'd be going for. Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro must have been treated much worse than this. Everybody who helped me was falling victim.
シオンがどういう目にあっても、シオン本人は覚悟があるからいいだろうけど、お世話になった葛西さんや吉郎おじさんがどうなるかまでは考えが及ばない。
My head rapidly cooled down. My aggression was all used up. I should be able to bear whatever punishment they bring on me, but I resented the fact that I'd been putting the people who supported me at risk.
シオン、ばっちゃんに謝って。けじめをつけてみせれば、シオン一人だけの話で全部済む。誰にも迷惑をかけない。でもミオン、私間違ったこと言った？そんなにも悪いことした？
The moment Mion learned that I was unwilling to apologize, her expression turned cold again. She turned her back to me and returned to the lounge. Damn, man, Jesus fucking Christ. I talked back to the hag in a really harsh manner. I told her that I didn't do anything wrong, yet it involved many people to who I owed so much. It went without saying, this was my responsibility. I was the sole person to blame, no fault lay with them. Yes, Kasai and Yoshiri-san were blameless, just as Satoshi-kun was. But then, as if she read my mind, Mion turned around and gave a slight nod. It was possible that something was going to happen to Satoshi-kun. On top of Kasai and Uncle Yoshiro. Oh shit. That can't happen. Satoshi-kun, I mean, nobody else should be punished. Please forgive them.
何ですか、シオン。
Tears rolled down my cheeks. I no longer cared about my pride.
ごめんなさい。私が間違っていました。許してください、当主様。
I should have said what the hag wanted to hear, yet she still looked unsatisfied. Maybe that wasn't too surprising. I had just denounced her so badly in front of the relatives. She wouldn't forgive me so easily. Just then Mion spoke as the successor.
ではシオン、どうやってけじめをつけるつもりです？けじめってどうすれば？
Nothing could be scarier than being told to pay up while standing next to horrid-looking torture devices. I was completely terrified. I couldn't move from trembling. Mion saw that and whispered to our grandmother. The hag nodded. Mion summoned some young minions and gave them an order. They removed one of the torture devices hanging on the wall. Oh, Jesus. and then set a table in front of me and put the device on top of it.
何これ爪を剥ぐための道具です
Oh, God.
使い方はわかります
Oh, Jesus.
わかるわけ
Oh,
ないでしょ
fuck, man. I shook as I stared at the tool. It looked like a giant nail clipper. Oh, God. He probably put the part that looks like a beak between your finger and fingernail, pulling them apart as he squeezed the handle. Jesus. The chills ran up and down my spine when I imagined that.
爪1枚ずつでシオンがかけた迷惑のそれぞれのけじめとします
Fucking goddamn salt device.
園崎シオンどの指でも構いません自らの手で3枚の爪を剥がしてみせなさい
Oh, God. 3. One for Kasai, one for Uncle Yoshiro, and the last for Satoshi-kun. It was a fairly reasonable number.
本当にそれで他の人は許してくれるんですか約束して私がちゃんと自分の爪を剥げたら他のみんなは許すと約束してこれはあなたのけじめであって取引ではありませんよこの方法が気に入らないならやるから待って待ってよやるからやるから
I put the device to my little finger while shaking badly. If my fingernail were shorter, it would have been harder. The metal beak captured my little finger beautifully. The subordinates then stabilized my left hand with a different restraining tool. That seemed reasonable, because my finger would slip out if it weren't restrained like that. As the subordinates buckled up the leather straps, I realized that this was really happening, and there was no escape. Somewhere in my mind I'd been thinking that they might forgive me after just the gesture alone. I shouldn't have been so naive. The emotions I'd been holding back appeared in the form of tears and kept rolling down my cheeks. It was like my feelings were being squeezed down until the very last drip. Something even more horrifying followed this. It was the silence that awaited my next action.
どうするの
One of the subordinates pointed to the handle, told me to either squeeze it or hit it. He recommended that the latter would be easier, to make it quick. Nobody said anything after that. There was nothing to hear but the sound of my sweat dripping onto the floor. The onlookers were staring at me silently, waiting for me to execute my punishment. Both the hag and Mion, they were also anticipating it. I could refuse, but that meant I wouldn't be paying up. The punishment exists to offer payment in exchange for the safety of those who helped me. If I refused, they would suffer. I started breathing heavily. I knew. God, there's no visuals for this, but I'm getting fucking, like, goosebumps from this. God damn. I knew that if I did this, the others would go free. This was, if you thought about it, quite a good deal. If it weren't me, it wouldn't be just free fingernails. If it were Kasai, he'd have to sacrifice his little finger or something even worse. I knew that. It was my selfish desire to get away from that school. Why did Kasai have to suffer because of that? I knew that. Why did Uncle Yoshiro have to suffer just because he provided me with a job? I knew that the hag and the other relatives still hated the Hojos, so I didn't know what they'd do to Satoshi-kun if I didn't do this. Would they bring Satoshi-kun here and tell him to do the same? Would they tell him to remove his fingernails in exchange for forgiving me? He'd do it. He sacrificed himself with no hesitation in order to save others. My sweat dropped onto the table through my nose. I'd do it, yes. These was only 3 fingernails. It might hurt a lot, but I wouldn't die. The fingernails would grow back. It wouldn't even leave a huge scar. I shouldn't be afraid. The punishment was minimal because it was me. If I refused to do this, the others would be punished much more severely. I couldn't let that happen to Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Satoshi-kun. I was the only one who should be punished. So I just needed to bear the pain. I wasn't just breathing heavily anymore. I was also moaning faintly, ready to scream at any moment. That's right, make it quick. This wasn't torture, so I didn't have to prolong the moment of pain. Just do it in one swift blow. That way my pain and fear would be minimalized. I raised my right arm. Quickly. The pain would be lessened if I did it in one stroke. It would be much more painful if I messed it up. I held my breath. It felt as if my body was frozen. I was choking. The chills kept on my spine. God damn it, just do it, man! Don't be afraid, Shion. Fingernails are just a tiny fraction of the whole body. Just 1 square centimeter. I could do this. I could bear it. I smacked my right hand into the handle of the device. I sensed the noise through my body instead of through my ears. At the same time, it felt a pain I'd never experienced before. A moment later, the pain pulsated with my heartbeat. I clenched my teeth. It felt like my teeth were crackling. I tightly shut my eyes till my eyeballs got squeezed up. The pain wouldn't fade. Rather, it swelled with my blood pressure. It felt as though I was bloating like a balloon. Timidly, I opened my eyes. Found that my little finger was really drenched in blood. It was bleeding, but not much. Certainly not enough to explain how much it hurt. The fingernail was open, just like the hood of a car. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was overwhelming. It occurred to me that I only done 1 out of 3. Did I have to repeat this 2 more times? Did I have to remove the nails from my ring and middle fingers as well? I looked at the hag and at me on begging for mercy, but they were just silently staring at me, as if the show had only just begun. I saw no hint of mercy in their eyes. They wouldn't be changing their minds. Since they said free, it had to be free. They wouldn't forgive me until I removed 2 more fingernails.
Mio, これで許して。あのね、これ本当に痛いの。ほら、私の顔を見ればわかるよね。本当にさ、痛くて。
Mion answered, still wearing a cold look.
Shion, もう無理。
Jesus Christ! She didn't mean that was sufficient. What she meant is that the others would have to take the remaining punishment if I didn't. I knew that. I really didn't know.
やれるよ。こんなの全然楽勝だって。この冷血動画。こんなの怖くない。こんなの痛くない。
They quickly moved the metal beak and set it on my ring finger. Smacked it with no hesitation. Fuck. Instead of making it quick, maybe I was just rushing out of fear. I messed up. The torture tool had clipped just the tip of my fingernail. The pain, however, was equal. I couldn't believe I only chipped it. Did I have to do it again? Did I have to continue removing the nail from my ring finger? That much pain again? Again?
Shion.
I couldn't bear it anymore. I started crying shamelessly. Man, if it turns out to be Shion in the second chapter, I kinda don't fucking blame her. Jesus Christ. Fuck, man. They didn't seem to hear my voice. It felt as though there was an invisible barrier between us. They showed no mercy, they were just here to witness this ritual. So rather than sympathetic, they looked amazed by my screw-up. Mion walked up to me. He whispered to my crying face.
Shion, あとちょっとだから頑張って。やだやだやだやだ。本当に無理。本当に痛いの。痛い
の。Mion shook her head, then signaled the subordinates. They came from behind me. They converted my head with something like a knit cap. It was a blindfold. One of them pinned me in a Nelson hold, restricting my movement. I couldn't overpower the guy behind me. Then I felt something strange on my left hand. The other guy was doing something with the torture tool. He put the metal beak between my ring finger and its fingernail. My left hand was fixed in the restraint, so I couldn't put up much protest anyway. But even that left hand was pressed down by his rough palms until it hurt, robbing it of the freedom even to tremble. They had no hesitation. Oh my god! It was made very clear to me how merciless people could be. Robbed of my vision, all I could do was clench my teeth against the pain assaulting me. If there was anything I was thankful for, it was that he was well practiced and had ripped off both my fingernails cleanly. Pain and screaming might induce narcotic chemicals in the brain. While screaming, I started losing consciousness. Oh, what the... Oh my fucking god, dude. How is this game able to make me actually have, like, goosebumps while not showing any goddamn visuals? How is that so... Jesus fucking Christ, dude. God. Fuck, man. Oh my god. The absolute worst part was the anticipation of the first one. Oh my god, dude. Holy shit. I woke up. My memories were missing. I couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I held my hand with both hands. My left hand was bandaged. The fingers that had their nails removed had swollen like hot dogs. I paid with those free fingernails for what I did. The hag had said something after the punishment, but I didn't remember any of it. I was taken to a hospital in Okayama. The car shook on the way, adding extra pain on top of what I already felt. Somebody gave me some aspirin. They worked just like they said on TV, but it didn't last more than 10 minutes. I swallowed the pills without water. While I was spacing out in the waiting lounge, Kasai showed up. He probably came to check if I was alright. I obviously wasn't. He must have understood that from my bandaged left arm dangling from my shoulder. Kasai, on the other hand, looked just fine, at least on the outside. I was relieved that my sacrifice had meant something. Kasai didn't say anything. I couldn't tell if he wanted to tell me something or not because he looked so emotionless.
Kasai?
なんでしょう?
He paused shortly before answering. I could tell he was upset. I didn't regret revealing my true identity in order to protect Satoshi-kun. But I hadn't wanted Kasai or Uncle Yoshiro to be hurt. I had been contradicting myself.
ヨシロおじさんはどうなったか知ってます?
いいえ。したたかな方です。ご無事と思います。後で謝られた方がいいでしょう。
うん。
I wanted to ask him about Satoshi-kun too. I wondered if he was captured or hassled by the Sonozaki family because of me, but I was hesitant to ask Kasai. After all, I had chosen Satoshi-kun over them. Was Satoshi-kun alright? I hoped he wouldn't get caught or incarcerated somewhere. I paid the hospital bill and Kasai gave me a ride home. I feel I realized that somebody was knocking on my door.
シオンさん、そろそろ体を起こしてください。横になり続けるのもやはり体に毒です。
It was Kasai. He put some side dishes on the table and he started nibbling at them.
気分は落ち着かれましたか？
落ち着いたというか、落ち込んだというか。はあ。
この数日間はずっと伏せっていたんですか？食事はされていましたか？
冷蔵庫の中の残り物を適当に食べてました。あとは天井を見てるか眠っているかのどっちか。
It had been 3 days. I'd just been lying down since then. I woke up every now and then in my shallow sleep, but I didn't feel like getting up or thinking. I felt like I'd just been floating the whole time. My appetite was gone, but it came back with the smell of the food Kasai brought. I wasn't able to think of anything to talk to Kasai about, so I just ate silently.
昨日、ミオンさんから連絡がありました。シオンさんの部屋に何度か電話したけど出なかったからということで。
The moment I heard Mion's name, I felt my wounds fob. But I didn't stop Kasai, who continued.
園崎本家としては、シオンさんがご自分でけじめをつけられたので、これで決着とするそうです。あの学園には退学届が出されます。シオンさんは沖宮の学校に編入になるそうです。
園崎シオンの人権が認められたってことか。
そうですね。今後は園崎シオンとして生活してくださって構わないそうです。ですが、みだりにひなみ沢には近づかないこと。園崎ミオンを語らないこと。人前にみだりに姿を現さないこと。他にも細々とありますが、詰まるところ、
存在を認めてやるから本家に目立つようなことは二度とするなってわけか。
そういうことになります。もちろん永続的なわけじゃありません。ほとぼりが冷めるまで当分ということです。具体的にいつまでという期限があるわけではありませんが、今年いっぱいくらいはこれまで通り目立たない生活を送られた方がよろしいかと思います。
私は沖宮でひっそり暮らすだけで十分です。もともとこれまでだってそうして暮らしてきたわけだし。
Kasai put on a sad smile. I smiled back at him likewise. Before the conversation ended, I should ask him what I wanted to know.
サトシ君はどうなったの？
I wished that Kasai would assure me of his safety right away, but he didn't answer like that.
葛西、サトシ君は無事なの？
Oh fuck.
シオンさん。
Kasai put his chopsticks down.
本家から北条サトシ君のことは忘れろとことづかっています。
Oh fuck.
何それ？
シオンさん、あなたと喧嘩はしたくないんで、これ以上この話はしたくありません。本家からの言葉を伝えるのみにとどめさせてもらいます。
何その話をしたくないってのは。葛西。
Kasai pretended as though he didn't hear me and started eating again. I never seen him get so stubborn like this. The Sonozaki family had been using the Hojo family as a scapegoat. They must have concluded that Sonozaki shouldn't be in love with a Hojo. I didn't like that. Sadako's a friend of Mion's at school. Would it be okay if Satoshi-kun and I were the same gender? Anyway, if I did something conspicuous again, they might do something to him for real. Just like they forced me to remove my own fingernails. Sonozaki family wouldn't hesitate. They'd torture him if need be. Maybe, if I really loved him, I should stay away. Satoshi-kun won't show up in Okayama unless he rejoins the Himizawa fighters. I'd have to pretend to be Mion if I wanted to go to Himizawa, but I didn't think she'd cooperate with me. Even if she did, it'd be the same time sometime down the road. Even if they told me not to see him, I already had no means of doing that again. Oh wait, Mion gave me his number a little while ago. I could call him, maybe ask to meet with him secretly. But if I got caught again, they wouldn't cut me any slack. Should I risk it? What the hell did I even want from Satoshi-kun?
Kasai, ちょっと一人になりたい。
Kasai started putting away his food in a rush, assuming that I wanted him to leave.
あ、いいの。kasaiはのんびり食べてて。私がちょっと一人で散歩がしたいだけなの。
私もシオンさんと一緒に出ないとこの部屋に鍵がかけられません。
Kasai quickly put away his meal and followed me out.
あ、先に断っとくけど、別にサトシ君に会いに行くわけじゃないからね。
わかりました。
I turned around and started walking. My destination was rather pathetic. There's a toy store that sold that giant teddy bear. I couldn't deny that I was somewhat expecting Satoshi-kun to pass by there. I couldn't stop myself from looking at the faces of passers-by who resembled him. I walked into the store's window. The teddy bear was gone.
サトシ君、おめでとう。変えたんだね。
The bear was gone, huh? His evil aunt had died, and his wicked uncle was living with his mistress. Satoshi-kun succeeded in fulfilling his duty as a big brother by buying his little sister that huge teddy bear. There was nobody left to hurt him. He was free from his tiresome efforts. He was completely free from pain. Over time, he retrieved his smile, and he'd go back to being the Satoshi-kun I love. But I wouldn't be there with him. I heard a car honking. I didn't think it was honking at me first, but it was so persistent that I had to look up. The person waving at me from the car was Ire. He was waving at me all carefree, oblivious to my feelings. Ire.
Sonozakiさん、ご無沙汰していますね。あ、ひょっとしてサトシ君と待ち合わせでしたか？
いえ、そういうわけじゃないです。
そのおもちゃ屋さんのショーウィンドウはサトシ君もよく覗いていましたからね。それでてっきりサトシ君との待ち合わせか何かかなって思っちゃいまして。
いえ、たまたまここを通りかかっただけです。変えたみたいですね、サトシ君。
Ire seemed to know about the teddy bear as well. He smiled upon seeing its empty display space.
昨日がサトコちゃんの誕生日でした。きっとあのぬいぐるみでそれをお祝いできたと思います。
じゃあもうサトシ君は無茶なアルバイトに精を出さなくてもいいわけですね。
そうですね。
サトシ君ってそのひなみざわファイターズ退部届とか出しちゃったんですか？
そんなもの出てたんですか？私は受け取ってませんよ。マネージャーの園崎さんは？
受け取ってないです。
誰も退部届を受け取ってないならまだうちの部員ってことですね。しばらくして生活が落ち着いたら また戻ってきてくれるんじゃないかなって思ってます。でもその時に園崎さんがいなかったらきっと悲しむだろうな。
Yurei teased me. He's a grown-up after all. He must have been trying to sound optimistic because he knew I was feeling a bit down.
園崎さんも落ち着いたらいつでもチームに帰ってきてください。あなたがいないとやっぱり寂しいですよ。園崎さんが帰ってきてくれたらぜひ女子マネージャーの制服をメイドさんな格好にしようと思ってまして。
I burst into laughter. Yurei sure hadn't changed.
あ、そうだ。もう名乗ってもいいんだった。監督、今まで騙しててすみません。私、ミオンじゃないんです。シオンっていう双子の妹なんです。訳ありで今までずっとミオンのふりしてきました。
双子の妹さんですか？
He was totally taken aback. I burst into laughter again.
そうです。園崎シオンと言います。園崎本家に嫌われてるんで、あまり堂々と暮らせる立場じゃないんですけどね。
知らなかったですよ。まさかミオンさんに双子の妹さんがいたなんて。
そりゃ全く同感です。
Oh, hey, Oishi, what's going on? Suddenly, a loud voice interrupted us. The voice sounded mean and greasy, unlike Yurei's. It was him, Oishi.
入江先生もこんにちは。先日は遅くまでありがとうございました。
いえ、何もお役に立てませんで申し訳ないです。
Last night, they were just going through the motions. It was obvious that they hated each other. Yurei whispered to me.
私はもうここを離れますが、一緒に車に乗りますか？お家まで送りますよ。
Yurei figured that Oishi was after me, so he was giving me a chance to slip away. Looking at Oshi's face, it was clear that his focus was on me, not Yurei. He probably intended to interrogate me until my testimony broke. I was sure I could talk my way out of it, but it'd be just a waste of time.
そうですね。じゃあ監督、そろそろ行きましょうか。
ありゃ、お二人でどちらかにお出かけの途中でしたか？
ええ。チームの夕涼み会用に景品を探しているところだったんです。他にも行くお店がたくさんありますので、この辺で私たちは失礼します。
Yurei bowed. I followed suit. I had to admire how good he was at lying. He's a grown-up, after all. Oishi seemed to know it was a lie, but he didn't have a warrant, so he couldn't stop us. I moved to get into Yurei's car.
お怪我は大丈夫なんですか？園崎シオンさん。
Shit. How the hell? I gasped when I heard that. My left hand was bandaged. It was on sideways, so I kept it in my pocket. There's no way Oishi could have been able to see it.
可能さえしなきゃきれいに治りますよ。私も子供の頃は何度か爪を剥いじゃったことがありましたがね。ほら、きれいなもんでしょう。
男の爪が綺麗でも気色悪いだけです。
Oishi scratched his head and chuckled. He's supposed to be one of the best cops at the Okayama PD, and he knows about all the underworld activities in the region. He must have heard about my payment from somewhere. Still, it happened in the secret basement of the Sonozaki main house. Couldn't underestimate this guy's sources.
お見舞い、感謝感激です。じゃあ、もう行きますね。
Got informants everywhere.
失礼します。
園崎シオンさん。 私とコーヒーでも飲みに行きません？
はあ？何それ、私を口説いてんですか？
そういうことでもいいですよ。
遠慮します。1日は有限24時間。わざわざ退屈なことに費やすなんて馬鹿げてますから。
もう参ったな。じゃあこうしましょう。私とのおしゃべりが退屈になったらいつでも途中で帰っていいです。引き止めません？そういう約束でどうです？
あんたが喋るのは勝手ですが、私は喋りませんよ。それをおしゃべりと呼べるかは怪しいですが。
ねえ、それで結構です。シオンさんは聞き役で結構です。私が勝手に一方的に喋るだけ。あなたはコーヒーでも飲みながら中年親父の独り言を聞き流してくださればそれで結構です。
He was being strangely persistent. Didn't look like he was trying to poke a hole in my statement. What would he even talk about? Got a bit curious, even though I was still skeptical.
監督、すみません。私ちょっと大石のおじさまとデートに行こうと思います。
ミオじゃない、シオンさん？
I winked at him and told him not to worry. He really didn't insist. Got in his car and drove up. Oishi backed his car up so I could get in. I hopped in the back seat since I didn't want to sit next to him.
本当に喫茶店に行くの？
あなたの親類の目がない喫茶店があるなら紹介してもらえると助かるんですがね。
チェ、それなら勝手に連行でも何でもすればいい。
Oishi carefully checked for oncoming traffic and then started driving. Oishi took me to the police station, as I thought he might. If he had taken me to a nice cafe, he would have scored some points. But, whatever. You know what? I think... Man, this episode's getting a little bit too long for my liking, so I think this is a good stopping point for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of content. If you did, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Want to tell me something? Put it down in the comments below. We'll check out Discord server I hang out in or my Twitter. Check description below. And yeah, this has been Voidlego. I'll see you guys next time. See ya!